You're listening to the My Simplified Life podcast, and this is episode number 251. Hey, friends, welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac. The countdown is on for election time. The ballots have been mailed. You've gotten your information catalog on everything that has to do with propositions and the candidates. And so who are you voting for? I don't want to talk about sides right now. What I want to talk about is the importance on doing your research, on making sure you're having those conversations, on researching candidates, on propositions, on measures, on all of that, and how do you do it? Let's talk really down at the local level, because everything begins and is going to affect you the most when it's someone that is close to you locally. So I'm talking about school boards, district council members, county supervisors, your mayor, and then it goes on from there. And then we get up to the presidential election that we know everybody's talking about, right? That is like the number one thing you hear about when it comes to what everyone is voting for. So let's take a real big step back. Right now, for our area, we have a seat on our school board that is up, and we have 3 candidates who are running. So I want to share with you what I go through to vet the candidate that I'm going to vote for, to find out who aligns with what is in my best interest, the best interest of my children, the best interest of my neighbors and the school district and the teachers and everyone else. So first of all, I take down all of their names, and we have 3 of them. And I go and I do my research just as I do for podcast pitching. I stalk them. I look at their websites for their candidacy. I check out any other websites that they might have personally, professionally. What do they say? Where have they been? I look at their social media, which I think is interesting that a lot of people don't. They're not paying attention to, if there's a public Instagram account, go check it out. See what that individual who is running for office is saying professionally or personally. What is it that they stand for? And take a close look at that. What is it that they are claiming to be running on a platform for? You very easily are going to find out why they are running if you pay attention. Why is it that they want to be the person representing your school district? Why? Have conversations. I walked into the school office the other day, and the front office person said, all right, give me the down low. What's going on with all of these elections? Let's start locally and make our way up. What have you heard? And we had a conversation about who I knew, what information I had gathered and whatnot, where people stood. And I was able to share information that she had not yet heard. And she knew that I could be trusted, that I've done my homework. I may not just be voting down party lines. I don't think that we should be voting down party lines. It's quite obvious, especially this year when we look at who's running for president, that maybe party lines you shouldn't really always stick to them. You need to look at really who is the best candidate for your country, for your city, for your school board. And there are nonpartisan elections going on too. For instance, the school board, it's a nonpartisan position, but you can always tell where somebody aligns based on things like endorsements. So going back to the school board position, who has endorsed all of these candidates? Well, I've got one candidate who says he doesn't want anybody's endorsement because he doesn't want to be beholden to the quote unquote conditions for this position. Okay. He also does not have a candidate statement. He does not have a website. He has nothing, but is taking over a Facebook group that is meant for parents and teachers to communicate on. That's been his platform. There's another candidate who's been endorsed by Moms for Liberty. If you're not familiar with Moms for Liberty, they are a group of moms and non-moms. There's men in there too, who are for book banning. They are for ensuring critical race theory is not taught. So that would include making sure that our children are not taught basically history, because they don't want them to quote unquote feel bad, and they want to erase history. I am very much against that. I think that things like World War II need to be taught, because if we don't teach history, then history will repeat itself, and we don't want that to happen. So I know that an endorsement from Moms for Liberty is something that I do not want to align with. That is not a candidate that is going to be in my best interest or my children's best interest, or quite frankly, anybody's best interest. And then the third candidate is an upstanding professional woman who's been on a PTA. She volunteers in the classroom. She has been on a site council, bond oversight committee. She works in communications. She is a mom who has a child in the district. The Moms for Liberty one doesn't even have children who've gone through the district because they homeschooled as unregistered children somehow. So looking at all of these details is what helps me make the decision. Also, I think that something we forget or don't realize is that you can make a personal connection with these candidates. Go to a meet and greet. Go send them an email. I've done that with certain candidates. I've sent an email and just said, I'd like to chat with you. I want to get to know you. I want to hear where you stand on certain issues. Watch debates, contribute questions beforehand to a debate, and then watch them and listen, take notes, and pay attention. It takes homework. Of course, all of this takes homework because nothing that is worth something in life doesn't require some sort of form of homework. That's what I believe. But paying attention to these things is what's going to help you make the best, most informed, and educated voting selection that is going to help you in the end. So these are all of the steps that I've taken for our school district trustee seat, just to figure out who is it I'm going to vote for. And once I selected that individual, I also started campaigning for her. I have a lawn sign so that my neighbors know they can ask me as well. Hey, what do you know about this person? What do you know about the other candidates that are running? Why is it that you're supporting this candidate? And I am more than happy to share those conversations with them. Then you look at your council member seat. We're going through another district council race here for our district, and I've gotten to know the candidates again over the years. We also have county supervisor position that is opening, and this goes up and up. Our mayor is up again because they changed the election times from not aligning to the presidential election to aligning with it. So he had a 2-year term. He's up for reelection for a 4-year term, and then he will be able to extend it and get reelected for another 4-year term. But I've gotten to know him as well. I knew him as a council member before he ran for our district council. I've gotten to know him as a mayor and campaigned for him as his mayoral candidacy was coming up. And I've remained in contact. I've remained as active as possible. And when I say get active, it doesn't mean that you have to go knock on doors. It doesn't mean you have to go to every city council meeting. It means you read the emails that you subscribe to. It means you're informed on what's going on in your neighborhood, what is going on at your school, within the district. I'm a part of different Facebook groups. I'm a part of one WhatsApp group. And at times, yes, it becomes overwhelming, and that's too many things, too many messages, but I don't miss anything that's important. And that's really why I'm a part of all of these different groups. So educate yourself. Sit in on fundraising virtual Zooms. I've done that quite a bit for our presidential campaign. I've been sitting in on weekly Zooms whenever I can make it. Other things that I've done is I co-hosted a fundraising Zoom for a friend of mine who's running for Senate of Utah, Stacey Bernal. And what I loved about that experience was, for the first time I was on the other side. I wasn't just a participant, I was a co-host, and I got to hear what other co-hosts said about Stacey. And I knew that they were right. I knew that the things being said was not smoke and mirrors, that it wasn't a bunch of people pulled to fluff her up, because I know her personally. So I was able to say that. And that was something that meant a lot to me, because it also allowed me to see what's happening in other virtual types of fundraising events for candidates. Yes, there's going to be people there. They want people to say good things about these individuals, but when it's you who can speak to the honesty and integrity of someone who is running for political office, then you know that what the others are saying aligns as well. And that's when you know the truth is being spoken. So I've gotten to be on that other side. And I think it's so important that we have these conversations with each other. It can be awkward. I know, especially it feels like turmoil right now with what we see going on in the presidential election, and it just trickles down. And we want these next few weeks to just be done with. But then there's also that pit in your stomach of what happens. What happens after November 5th? What happens if it goes one way or it goes the other way? What next? So have these conversations because you're not alone in how you feel. I can tell you that there's a knot in my stomach. There's a knot in my husband's stomach. And even my children feel it because they see the bumper stickers. They see stickers being put on the traffic signals at the stop that we go past every single day. They know that stuff is going on. It is everywhere, whether or not you're on social media. They're not on social media. They're kids, but they see it. It's in the news. It is all that people are talking about. And to have good conversations is really key to help inform each other. And I don't mean to belittle each other, not to name call each other, not to really get in the nitty gritty disgustingness, but to ask good questions, meaningful ones of why do you feel this way about this candidate or about this issue? Why is it that you feel that that kind of a decision is yours to make for someone else? To really look at it that way and to listen to one another, because it's something that we're not doing enough of. We're not listening. We're not having genuine conversations. And I really, really hope that once this election is over, that we get back to a place that we used to be in, and maybe even not a place that we used to be in. Maybe we're in a place that's better. I truly hope that we get as a country to be in a place that is so much better, more accepting, a place in which we're not so divided, because it feels very divided right now and it's sad. And when you come to that realization, you just hope that there's something better, that it didn't always feel this way. And I hope that it doesn't feel this way again. I hope that we can grow from this and that life is more calm, more joyful, and it's just better after these elections. But we have to get out there and vote. You have to use your voice. You are given the right and the privilege to vote. And many people before us fought for us to have this right. They fought hard. And for you not to vote because you don't think your voice is heard or your vote won't be counted is a waste. So please, I urge you to get out there and vote and to educate yourself. It's your civic duty to get involved. You can't complain about the way things are if you did not use that vote that you have to say your piece, to say, this is what I want to happen. Whether or not it happens, you will be able to say that, you know what, I showed up, I stood up, and I cast my ballot. I did what I rightfully can do, and I will continue showing up, and I will continue to use my voice, and I will continue to do the research and the homework that it takes to make the most informed and educated decision, because your vote is so important. It is such a beautiful thing that we get to vote. We get this privilege, this right that many don't still to this day. Many didn't get to, including women. It hasn't been that long that we've gotten this right to vote. And we need to ensure that it doesn't get taken away from us ever again, because it's here. I don't want my daughter to have to fight for this again. I don't want my son to have to stand up for my daughter's right to vote or to do anything else that has to do with their lives, their livelihood in the future. So I encourage you to do this homework. You only have a couple more weeks. By the time this episode comes out, you have 2 weeks, 2 beautiful weeks to do your research, to show up, to get your ballot in. So I urge you, please, to do that research, do that homework, have those conversations, whether they're tough ones or not, and pay attention. Show up and pay attention. Do some deep dive stalking. Stalking's fun, let me tell you. Just Google their names and start looking up at things, and you will quickly realize which candidates align most closely to you, your values, and what you want for the betterment of your family, your community, your state, and your country. Please go out and vote. If you haven't gotten the book, Democracy in Retrograde, go grab that too, because if they will help you with conversations, it will help you with making sure you are informed. And voting's not going to go away. So we need to continue doing this every single year, not only on presidential election years, but every year, because every single vote counts. Every time you get the opportunity to use your voice, you need to show up and to use it. So go out there, get your vote, get informed, cast those ballots, and let me know if you want to have a tough conversation. I am more than open for it. And I am cheering you on and cannot wait for these next 2 weeks to be over with and for us to all get to move on to having more joyful, happier times together and to talk about the next election after that.